FlexGrid in so many ways, it's crazy. It really is. Are you guys okay if I just give you just a little bit of history? Are all of you guys coming tomorrow? Okay, we'll get more into parts here. Because we're in FlexGrid, it's really important. What we ended up doing is we had a client and they were creating these things. They were doing nuts and bolts. And ideally what they said, we have to do these nuts and bolts and we have to track these heat codes. Because if a Ferris wheel breaks and they're using all these bolts, we want to know which other bolts might potentially shear or something. Like, wow, that's a lot of detailed information. And so it was kind of between POs and invoices and all this kind of stuff. Well, as we got into it, we had another client at the exact same time, and they sell GPS units. And they wanted to track all of the serial numbers because they end up having an end user, and then they sell them time. So this certain GPS unit, I'll sell you this block of time for this and this and this. But when they did it on the invoices, they wanted to be able to do it in bulk. You bought 500 GPS things, no problem. And then I need to individually track all these pieces. They wanted to sell it in bulk, but track it in detail. We're like, oh my goodness, what a nightmare. And so as we got into it, we ended up saying, well, what other things? Because we were originally just going to do it between POs and invoices, because that's where we kind of saw the need. But we're like, well, what happens if we do this or this or this? And that's where we actually decided there are 12 main characters that actually play into this. And we're like, okay, so what else if we did this? And so, yes.
Okay, one of the things I'm wondering about now is, you said I had 15 fields that I can add. Can I add 15 to the customer and 15 to the invoice?
Yep.
Okay, so I can add, in all of those 12 things, I can add 15 in each one of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're unlimited there. Can I show you how easy a piece of FlexGrid is too? Why don't you guys pull up a customer and say, add FlexGrid tie, scroll down to the bottom, type in a note, and click done. It could be that easy. You don't have to worry about, oh no, did I do this or that?
Okay.
Like, it literally, this is your user maintain log. It creates a little flag. It says, hey, I did this thing, okay? Pull up a customer, and then...
We'll let you drive down. I need to step up for 1 second.
Great.
And then I just hit log.
Yep, FlexGrid could be this easy. I'm going to go grab a customer, and I'm going to do SpongeBob. We're going to leave Charlie Bone just alone a little bit. I'll go to his log. I'll say, oh my goodness, look at that, Sherry-O.
Oh, Sherry!
Sherry is having fun in the background. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the log just a second, and we're going to add a FlexGrid tie-in. Scroll all the way down, skip everything, and I say, great job, Sherry-O. And I'm going to say add the tie-in. It could be that easy, okay? Like we talked about FlexGrid and what it could do this and this and this and this and this. It can be as easy as what I just did. If I scroll down on the log now, boom, right there. Detail, came from a certain location on a certain date. Great job, Sherry-O.
Refresh your screen.
Oh, did you do another one?
Oh dear. I'm wondering what it is now.
Okay, so FlexGrid could be that simple, okay?
But you're only going to get 15 of those now.
Oh, no. Okay, this is, okay, 15 custom field names.
Okay, so
Okay.
I can do any log amount that I want.
Oh yeah, if you wanted to have a FlexGrid right here, we're actually already creating a one-to-many relationship. You could do it that way, or you could just have one. Like, once you get the concept of one-to-many, FlexGrid makes incredible sense to you, okay? But when you're first like, oh no, it can literally be that
Are
easy.
you telling me we can do FlexGrid to employees now?
Absolutely, it's always been available.
Maybe you don't want to tell her that.
So, hello! So check this out. If you wanted to do an employee and say there was a problem, why don't we do that, okay?
Yeah,
Who wants to be picked on?
I will.
Okay, Sherry-O is causing a problem. Watch what we're going to do. We're going to go home.
She plays with SpongeBob.
Alrighty, cool. So watch this. I'm going to click on users. I got to get to the place where I'm going to generate this thing from, okay? And I'm going to find Sherry. She's right here. Sherry Olin. And I click on her, and here's a little link that says add FlexGrid tie-in.
You got
Click.
me.
So automatically it says, hey, I'm going to tie this thing to Sherry-O.
Sherry has been sleeping on the job. Please check at noon. She's usually asleep.
So right here, if I wanted to record something, I can. The cool thing about employees is nobody even has the opportunity to get into the employees unless you already have an admin permission, okay? So in an HR type scenario, even though we're not going to say admin only or transparent or anything like this, you've already basically said, hey, you can't even play over here. So if you're adding FlexGrid to customers and all this stuff, and you have somebody who just works your parts department, they can't even see
You
it.
have got to be
They
kidding
can't
me,
even see it.
Brandon.
So anyway, just really quick, Sherry O, what kind of message would you like me to put for you?
There's already one there.
I
Oh, there
did
it
get
is.
out of school.
This guy's been doing
Watch
it.
this. So Ethan said he already put one in there. Watch this. I'm gonna use my back button, and then I'm gonna hit refresh. Pull it up. So here's Sherry's info, and if I scroll down, sleeping on the job. Wake her up at noon.
Where'd you find that?
Okay, so you have to know where to find it, but basically this is a record.
Oh, geez, okay.
Okay, we all have admin permissions, like admin type permissions, and so it may not be effective, but basically you can make things transparent and or standalone. Watch this, if you scroll up to the top of this record, if you're on Sherry's record,
You know how
I have a new link here now too.
for documentation.
View standalone.
View the standalone
If I just
FlexGrid.
want to say, so man, this is a great tool for tracking sales leads.
Oh yeah, whatever you wanted to
So if
do.
it's hidden by admin and internal, if Barney has, God, can you go figure, I've been, you can't do a full wide search if you have flexible tie-in.
Okay, so here's what's kind of cool about
Great
FlexGrid.
about
And please bear with us, you're like, oh my goodness. What we do in FlexGrid is we say, I want to see how many permissions you have of the 12. I also want to see of the 12 how many admin permissions you have.
Sure.
So I'm automatically checking 24. I don't have enough fingers, okay?
Yeah.
I check mains and I check admin permissions of all of these main players. And then I say, oh, you have the FlexGrid tie-in permission? No problem. You only get to see 2 of them because that's all the permissions you get.
There we go.
They can't even search the other pieces, type thing. Okay? No, it's okay. It's okay. It gets deep quick. It gets really deep. But our original thing was we had these problems and we kind of had to solve it. And what we ended up doing is we created the FlexGrid so that you could do some stuff. We've got some stuff in FlexGrid. Watch this. This is so cool. Say we wanted to find everybody who had brown eyes. B-R-O-W. Click. Everybody who had brown, I have them right here. I now have links right back to them. I have Charles and this Angle Oopa Oopa. Whatever it is. Okay, but anyway, just a quick little thing, and you're able to search that. Watch this. I can search the notes. I happen to have the stuff for Sherry O. Watch this. S-L-E-E-P.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm gonna check that out.
Sherry O, employee. Sleeping on the job. Okay? Like, we're just using the quick search. You can actually detail it. Like if you're like, whoa, I've got way too much information, you can actually be like, I only want to search customers, and I only want to search this field, and I only want to do this. You want to see me do that? What? Just for one quick second, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to go to FlexGrid tie-in homepage right here. This is just a link. There's links all over the place to jump. Just so you can see where I'm going. FlexGrid tie-in homepage, and I'm going to actually search. I just want to do customers. And I just want to say, what's a date range, what's a this? I want to see anybody who has the school or potential sales or whatever. How did you hear about us? And eye color. Boom. How many brown ones do we have? And how many do we have that actually said, et cetera, if I wanted to? Click. Those are just the ones that have brown in that particular one. Watch this. See how this one says, how did you hear about me, friend? Watch this. If I hit back over Find Your Search, and I come down just a little bit more and I say, how did you hear about us? Friend. So now I'm going brown and friend. Click.
One. Still the same.
Boop, boop. I can drill down even deeper and deeper and kind of like get my results. I can export this to Excel. I can do all sorts of stuff. This is a huge tool, huge tool. I highly recommend that you actually read the help file for the FlexGrid. I recently rewrote it. You're talking probably within the last 2 weeks, so if you've ever read it before, read it again, because I changed. we made it into kind of like some analogies between a buddy system and kind of like some stuff like this. But the FlexGrid is major powerful. Sherry O, I can see you're kind of not junk, but like, oh my goodness, I could have used that so many times
That
when I
is
was.
just absolutely ridiculous.
Okay,
Well,
so
I can't keep up with you all.
you know we're gonna have to have more classes.
So when I, just see if I can learn from this, I put in blue eyes and then newspaper, like that. And when I hit search, it says unable to match records, part of main flex grid search. So where did I?
Oh, is it just an error message that I gave to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It says change back to step 1.
Okay. So basically, what you're doing, scroll down just a little bit lower. Have you already selected in what you wanted?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What it's saying is that I can't find that perfect match. So what I would do is just take one of them off, and then you'll find the pieces that you want, and then I'll filter that. Just take one of them off and search again.
You know?
So just delete that whole thing right there.
Yeah,
In the actual field, in the yeah, because it's still thinking. That's an either or once it gets selected. Nope. Can I show you real quick?
Sure.
Okay, you can leave it whatever. Once we select something, it'll, if it has a selection, it'll use that. If it has it, it'll use this. So you just need to clear one of these guys now. But it's actually going to be blue now.
I think we should use a tool in certain.
That's it.
Right, yeah.
Just change that back to blue. Or brown.
Sure, when they shoot me, yeah, sure.
Once you learn how to use the whole tool, you'll be good. There's just a little tool.
For a client who's not having
Awesome.
something or something that's documented.
Once again, it's just part of the being able to tell a story and be able to get back to it. Open that door and really tell a story.
You can totally tell the story with Flex Grid.
Yeah.
You can totally tell the story.
You have a log already.
What?
Is the flex grid I'm using that because I can hide it? Is that what
I
it is?
know.
I can still appreciate
Okay.
it.
Because I see some similarities between what you just did and also a log.
Well, I just, what?
Absolutely.
Whole
Absolutely.
other conversation.
Totally,
Right there.
totally.
Bring them back.
Do you want me to tell everybody, or should we wait for just a second? Can you hold your question for just a minute?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's very clear.
Hold on.
Without us.
Okay, my mom had a question. She's going to re-ask it, and we're going to see if we can respond to it, okay?
Okay, so I already saw that we had a log that we could just make comments on somebody with a log. And it's the only reason that we would use FlexGrid to put in the log is that we can hide it.
Potentially. Okay, so here's the difference, okay? A customer, we decided that, hey, people like to log stuff on customers. So we built it into the application. It then becomes searchable in its own spot. It already knows where it's going, and it's kind of a pre-built piece, okay? If you need something that's not there, and you're like, okay, this really isn't a log, but I need to record this, FlexGrid. Okay, once you break out of the norm and you want to play in custom, that's when you go to FlexGrid. A normal log, we actually have it set so it's unlimited. So Steve says he copies and pastes almost full emails. Hey, I'd really like to do this and this and this. Can we set up a meeting for this and this and this time? He'll copy it, paste it into the log. This is an automatic running thing. If I was using the FlexGrid, am I just trying to record a note that I couldn't record somewhere else, or maybe that I want to hide? That's a great way to do it, okay? I use that. That's one way to use FlexGrid. Another way to use FlexGrid is like, they don't have the how did you hear about me field. I better create that, and I better use that on this customer, and this customer, and this customer. So I would then use that little field that we created, and I'd use it for this customer, this customer, this customer, this customer. I start assigning it. It's kind of like I need to track this other piece of data. Those are two different ways. And then the other scenario is like, I need to start connecting things, okay? I'm doing perfect job costing. I'm going to order this right here from here. It's assigned to this customer, and it's got to go on to this invoice, and maybe this invoice, and this invoice. As soon as we start going like that, or any sort of scenario, I'm starting to physically draw, and it's hand-holding, okay? We call it a buddy system. Hey, where are you at? Oh, I'm with Fred. I'm with... Like, you're able to literally kind of connect pieces. Those are your three things that you can do with FlexGrid. A user-maintained note, or hide or show type thing. That's kind of really cool. You can also do custom fields, or you can tie things together. If you wanted to be slick, you could do all three at once. But those are the things that FlexGrid are used for. If you read the help file, it should help, and at least will kind of explain, oh, I get it. Any questions on that? It's actually one of the most powerful things. The reason on the map that is at the top, why would that be?
Because it does everything. It goes over everything.
You know what? FlexGrid might sound super, super cool, and we can do all these things with it, but guess what? It doesn't automatically know to tie itself into financials. It doesn't automatically know to map itself into here. This is your way of kind of creating basically the things that happen with it. Real quick, as a sum up, if you will, I pulled up the FlexGrid tie-in homepage help file. I'd like everybody to go to the FlexGrid homepage. If you're at the main map, you just click on this little link. It's a piece of cake, FlexGrid. And click on the little icon right here. This is another link. This is a visual link to the help file. It's the same help file you would get from the footer. It's the same help file you would get from the header. Okay? Click on the little link, and we're just going to go through the basic pieces of it. I don't think I clicked. There we go. Okay, we lost Shannon, our good reader. Chris, are you on that?
Yep.
Awesome. Can you read the stuff that's in blue off on the side of that graphic?
The FlexGrid tie-in application is like a giant virtual buddy system. Is that the one?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Anything in green is considered a main application type or system player. Any application type player may be linked or joined to any other main application type or player. It is also possible to link same application types together, example, customers to other customers. Each main application type green may have up to 15 custom fields that may contain special data or values. Each of the custom fields listed above gets its own name, title, or alias, and optional preset values, drop-down list. All extra or special fields are fully searchable. Each piece of FlexGrid acts as an assignable or assignment or connection within the virtual buddy system.
Awesome, awesome. Basically, the whole help file kind of goes down and it explains some possible scenarios, some usages, some different things like that. Very, very powerful, and we don't know anybody else that virtually has this. Like, there's lots of things that you can kind of connect things, but we built it way far out, kind of like, hey, you can really tweak this thing out if you want. It's a great little piece of our system. It really is. On this little flyer right here, the FlexGrid, it may not even say FlexGrid, but this little one that has all the little dots says, create data relationships between the 12 main system players. Like in one way, what it's basically saying is we have FlexGrid tie-ins, and so didn't want to scare anybody away, but it's literally, you can take any piece of this puzzle and you can connect it together. Okay? You like duct tape? I like duct tape. I do a lot of stuff with duct tape. Okay? You like wire, twine. You want to connect things. You want to record extra details. You want to record something that we don't have. FlexGrid might be your answer. Okay? Anyway, any questions? Yes. Shoot, I love your questions, by the way. Keep them coming, keep them coming.
Okay, so I'm just thinking like I could add a FlexGrid like if I were having patients and I wanted to add allergies. Is there any way that when I pull it up that it would show it in, can I make it red or something, or is it just going to show it up the regular thing? In other words, I can't make it look any different. I'm just going to have to read down that.
Okay, you can't really make it look any different per se.
I just have to look down the column.
It would look down the column. So if I was doing it and I had somebody that said, and one of my fields was allergies, I would either type a whole bunch in one field, hey, they have this and this. If I wanted to read this way, I would say, new FlexGrid piece, they're allergic to aspirin. New FlexGrid piece, they're allergic to penicillin. New FlexGrid piece, all of a sudden it's going to create this little list that goes down like this, and then I can just read down.
And that's why I go 15 deep.
Oh, no.
No,
The 15 deep is your field names. So allergies is a field name.
Oh, got it.
Way up here at the titles of your fields.
Yeah,
That's the
with
15
my
deep.
customer, I would have allergy, or my patients, I would have allergies as one of my.
One of your 15.
Details on the
One of your 15 is just what you want to call the field. okay? All it is the title. It's the alias of that field name. If I wanted to, I could take a piece of FlexGrid and I could add 50 pieces of FlexGrid to that thing, okay? And then what it does is the whole system is set up. We actually record close to 40 different fields every time we do a FlexGrid. But what the system does is it says, do I have any value in that? I don't. Don't even show it. Don't even show it. Don't even show it. So say I had a bunch of little things and you only had certain ones that actually applied. You fill in the ones that apply, and the ones that don't apply, they virtually go, they hide themselves, okay? This is your custom way to add the database, and often what we do is the FlexGrid ends up being a huge push, in a way, for our application. Say you're doing FlexGrid, and you're doing this and this, and you got all this cool stuff going, and eventually you're like, I wish I could do this, and then you're like, hey, I'm doing FlexGrid, and I'm using this and this and this, and I really wish it could do this, and then that's a good idea, or like we realize that it's really a need. We've had FlexGrid actually ends up steering the ship in a way, kind of like, oh, that's a good idea. We didn't even think of that. You would have needed that type of a functionality. But for the medium time, and basically the less cost effective, meaning like instead of paying $1,000 for a little tiny tweak for a custom solution, you basically say, hey, I'm going to run this under FlexGrid. Eventually, if you get to the load and FlexGrid and you run out of room in the FlexGrid or it's not doing what you want, then you're like, okay, I need this exact same functionality, but I want to add this, this, and this. You contact the development company and you say, here's what I want. Oh, that's a great idea. That would probably be $1,000 or whatever. And like, it has to, in my mind, I am kind of cheap, okay? If I use duct tape and baling twine, I make things work, okay? So if it's a big enough pain and I'm like, you know, hey, that's worth $1,000, I'm willing to do that. If it's not, then it's kind of like, hey, you know what, I'm paying $100 a month. I didn't have to pay millions up front, $20,000 to start, plus paying $100 a month and it's doing the job. It might take just a little bit, but I'm able to do it. I'm the kind of person who'd be like, hey, I'll live with that. You need to decide whether or not you want to take it to the custom level or if it'll serve your purposes. That's what the FlexGrid helps you customize this system. That's what it really does. It's good stuff. Any other questions? The FlexGrid is a wonderful subject. It's awesome. I highly recommend. So we've covered 2 things today, and both of these have brand new help files that I can't promise they're perfect, okay? We covered shopping cart. Huge. This is the interface between customers and the rest of the system. We also lightly covered FlexGrid. FlexGrid is on top of the application. Here's another analogy on FlexGrid, okay? It might help you to imagine you have this road and everything's going, turning, becoming, all this kind of stuff like this. What if you were able to virtually kind of have like this little thing that hovers over the top of it and it watches it and says, oh, that one right there. I'm going to connect you with this one. They're still doing their thing. It's not even impeding traffic at all, okay? They're already in line doing their thing. It's going like this. But at any time you land on that piece, you could say, hey, what else is involved? It connects to the FlexGrid. Oh, my brother's right over here. He happens to be a deposit. He's in this other lane. If you can think of it almost this virtual watcher over the system, it really helps, okay? So if I have a customer and I added FlexGrid to it, what happens is the customer exists. He's still being tied to this and that, just normal flow. But if I land on the customer and I want to see what he's connected to, like it's very transparent. Like it doesn't impede any of that traffic. It's an additional. I don't know if you like that analogy or not, but it's another way of kind of thinking of a FlexGrid, like a contact system of your phone. Like it doesn't hurt your phone, but if you wanted to get to somebody's information, it's there. It's kind of like, but it's almost at this level. You're holding your phone. You're doing everything you want to do with it. That's what's going to happen with your normal objects. But if you wanted a certain piece, here's what my brothers are, here's who my sisters are, here's who my, what's the hand holding, what are my buddies, okay? That's another way of thinking of the FlexGrid. Those 2 things, I would highly recommend you check out those help files, okay? The cart and the FlexGrid. Those are huge pieces of the puzzle.